This is part 2 of a radio show interview I had the pleasure of being interviewed on. This is the Think Your Reality podcast, episode number 71. Hang on, here we go.
Your destiny is by your design. Getting what you want in your professional life is gained by following a series of steps created by your mindset. Are you ready to start the journey? This is the Think Your Reality podcast. Here's Mike Sims.
And I honestly feel better when I start a day doing something, even if it's a small step. The night before, I like to make a small list for myself, do A, B, C, and D. And like most people, it might be go to the cleaners, go to the bank. Other times it's pay these bills, take care of these issues if it's open letters or something I have to write, or perhaps getting new guests for the show, etc. But if I start the day doing that, I always feel better right away, just that I've accomplished something.
Absolutely.
Even if it's as simple as counting toothpicks or something very ministerial. But I've started the ball rolling. I'm in action, so now I have a little momentum. And then I want to do other things. And I also feel better about myself that I've accomplished something. And again, the level of accomplishment is minimal. It's like the one brick.
Doesn't matter.
But it's getting the ball started.
Yeah, one small step is immaterial. It's those small steps combined create what? And then your accomplishment triggers the endorphins in your mind, which is the feel good, and you start to get, and you use the M word, the momentum. A
the
leads
M-word.
to B, the M word, leads to C, leads to D, leads to E. And all of a sudden, if your motivation is strong enough to accomplish what it is you want in life, the tasks are easy. The task at hand is easy. Again, the other M word, the motivation, the momentum, you create that by those small steps. You can eat an elephant just one bite at a time.
My wife might say I do it more frequently than that, but those aren't elephants. That's just a lot of hamburgers on the plate. You mentioned that we shouldn't confuse reasons for excuses, and I think that's something I see a lot of people doing, so I'd like you to talk about
Yeah,
that.
I think we're all guilty of it to some degree. Well, the reason I don't have whatever I want is for this. No, that's an excuse. You've made an excuse. You've given yourself an out not to have that which you want in life. That's a crime, and you should apologize to yourself, your spouse, and your family. You didn't do what you are capable of doing to create that great accomplishment that you should be proud of and that they should benefit from too. What you do as far as reaching your goals benefits your family initially, your local area, the community as a whole, and even one step further, again, the momentum. You've given somebody license to go accomplish great things in their life because they've seen what you've done. Wouldn't you want to be a part of that? Wouldn't you want to be a catalyst for somebody else to create something fantastic in their life?
And I'm just thinking, when I watch my favorite sports team, I don't want to know after the game that it wasn't so-and-so's fault, it was the other player's fault, or the defense or the offense or the pitcher. I don't want to hear an excuse. I want results.
Right.
And I just wrote myself a note. No excuse zone. No, I'm writing it on my papers here. And I think if we all made that part of our business, don't give me an excuse. You can discuss it later on from a business viewpoint, but if something has to get done and Mary left, don't give me an excuse. You do it. Tell me later that Mary left and we'll discuss it
That's
with
fine.
her, but you do it and complete it tonight.
Yep.
Or you make the extra phone call or go, as they say, the extra mile.
Go the extra
and
mile.
Get that done.
That's right.
Mike, we want to find out more. I think you're putting us on the trail to success. You're going to get us there, and we will do this, as you say. But at this point in the show, we want to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan, today speaking to Mike Sims. Welcome back to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Mike Sims, author of I Am, I Can, I Will. Mike, before I ask you another question, I'd like our audience to know if you like what you're hearing but you didn't get all of the show or would like to listen to it again or have your son or daughter or someone at work listen, you can go to nccradio.org and listen to a podcast of The Secrets of Success. You heard the title, I Am, I Can, I Will. And you can play it at your leisure, and you can recommend it to other people. If there's some part of the show or even 2 or 3 takeaway lines, that's all you need to change your life. And the next question is going to be one of those that hit exactly on it. Change your thoughts because they change your life. Now, since reading and going through your book, many times when I have something negative I'm thinking about, And I know it's going to annoy me. It's not a terrible thing. Just one of the daily problems we have. Right away, I tell myself, stop thinking of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll think of a silly TV show, a cartoon, something nonsensical, but I'll get myself off that track. So already you've had influence on one person, me.
Good.
But I'd like you to talk about that for our audience and how we can maybe remind ourselves to do that and get off that negative that we can spend all morning angry that someone took our parking space and it ruins our day and the other fellow's got a parking space.
Yeah, and he hasn't given a second thought since he left.
And he beat us twice. And
Right.
And there's probably a 50-50 chance that if it's someone like me, they're old, they're dopey, they just turned in the parking space and didn't even see you. No, because
Sure.
I wouldn't do it intentionally.
Sure.
But I've probably taken someone's space without knowing it. And I didn't even know I did it. And yet that person, they ruined their own morning by just thinking of the negative. So I'd like
Critical
you to talk
term. You
about
said
it.
they ruined their own morning. You gave them the power to upset your apple cart, so to speak. Why would you attribute that much value to something so insignificant? You can decide to change at a moment's notice and even affirm when you're sitting there in the car. Let's say hypothetically somebody took your parking spot. I am not going to allow this to rent space in my head. Not to say it arrogantly or boastfully. I am better than this. This does not define my day, and I will move on from this. And you actually cut ties with that, and you start to reaffirm in your mind. Go through some of the things that you might have had in the book, that you might have read in the book, and say, listen, I just need to realign my mind. I need to stop immediately. This has no value in my life. I will not allow it to have value. I need to focus on what I need to focus on. When you focus on negative, you draw more of that to you. And then the people will come into work and they'll share that with you. What are you sharing that with me for? Why did you give that much power to completely knock you off your track that day?
I once thought about the people I like the most, friends, and the ones who I would not like to spend a lot of time with. The ones who are most compatible, someone who doesn't complain the whole time. They can have strong opinions, but they go from one subject to the other. The person who just tells me what a bad day it is because it's raining out, well, it's raining in his world, it's raining in mine. It's raining in whatever town
Right.
we're in, Mineola, Levittown, or Riverhead. But we're in a building, so it really doesn't matter.
No.
And we can think of more pleasant things, talk about a comedy, see something on TV or a movie or whatever, and we can make our life so much better. So how much we control and how important
You
that
control
is.
all of it. What is it? Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people and or parking lot situations. What are you going to attribute? What are you going to put your focus on?
Hamburgers.
Attaboy.
Cheeseburgers.
Attaboy.
That's it.
What you focus on is what you draw to yourself. So why would you take more negative? Why would you look for more negative? Because by stating that, you're stating to your subconscious mind, I'm looking for more of that. You should hit the brakes. Come up with a silly word, a silly phrase that completely just realigns your mind on the direction you deserve to be and need to go to.
I think that honestly works. I know it does work for me, I will say, because I test a lot of these things before I put it out to our audience. And over the years, we've heard some of these in different forms.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that you have here, and I like it very much, and we'll talk about an anecdote about that, but you get what you accept. Now, a lot of people probably say, well, wait, how can I change that? I mean, if I'm in a store or if I'm doing something, but you say you get what you accept. So can you explain that to us?
It could be anything as far as a job where somebody was saying, I'm going to send a resume for this job. I'm not accepting this. This doesn't suit me. This isn't in alignment with what I've decided I want out of life. Why would I accept this? I won't accept the treatment from somebody that came in from a parking spot. Listen, I'm very, very busy. I'm sorry you had a bad morning, but I really need to focus on this. I guarantee you, they didn't get an audience with you, they will move on. And they need to move on because they don't need to pollute your mind and your world and your focus on what you're doing and what you need to do to get what you want out of life. No disrespect to the person that had a bad day. I'm sorry you had a bad day. But reiterating it is doing what? You're just reinforcing in your mind that negative feeling.
And it's funny, we had a guest on a few years ago, and unfortunately I don't remember his name, but your statement here about you get what you accept, he admittedly said he wasn't a very handsome guy. He had he wasn't wealthy, he had no outstanding characteristic, he wasn't a great athlete or anything, but he liked to go out with the pretty girls in school. And he said his friends were amazed, for an average, maybe below average even, looking person, how he had these beautiful dates. And he admitted on the phone to everybody, he said, I get turned down a lot, but I also ask people a lot.
There you go.
And I want a nice date. And he amazed people with the quality and the beauty of the dates that he did have. He wanted this is what he would accept. And if it meant accepting a little turn down here and there, it was okay. He would go along with it. And I think that's an excellent principle that we obviously all should follow. I told you this one, too. I was thinking about it today. Adversity is a clear indicator you're moving in the right direction. So does that mean we always have to have a few pebbles in our shoe or a bump in the road?
Yeah. Yes. It's called life. There's a gentleman that I mentor owns a company up in Buffalo, New York, and he went on, and he knows to be very, very careful with respect to the words he chooses. But he was telling me about, not complaining about it, but just stating that he had a couple of issues that he had to, and they were fairly significant. I said, that's wonderful. And it was dead silence on the phone. And I said, Eric, think about why I just told you it's wonderful. And he starts laughing. He says, because I'm never going to get to where I have to get without hitting a few obstacles. I said, correct. Absolutely correct. Now, the other thing is, depending upon how you look at the obstacle, what value did you give it? Every obstacle, every problem contains within it its own solution. Best case example, Jonas Salk, right? 1955, he cures polio. World-renowned, they, gave him accolades as he deserved. How did he cure it? He actually gave kids polio. There was a very, very small, very non-threatening level of the disease. It gave the body enough time to build immunity to it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Every problem contains within it its own solution. Don't run from the problem. Run toward it. And if you take it apart piece by piece, again, remember the elephant analogy. Take it, put everything else aside. Take one piece of it, figure it out, and move on from there.
The preceding was an excerpt from a radio show that I was interviewed on called The Secrets to Success. My name is Mike Sims. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Have an absolutely awesome day. You deserve nothing.